Perhaps let's begin with how many abortions I suppose we see taking place. So in the United Kingdom in 1967 was when the Abortion Act was passed. What scale of abortions do we see here in the United Kingdom?
People are often very shocked when I tell them this and barely believe it. But the information that comes from and is accepted by abortion providers themselves is that 1 in 3 women in the UK will have an abortion in their lifetime. So 1 in 3. If you think of all the women you know, 1 in 3 will have an abortion in their lifetime. So per year, that's 250,000 at the moment, which is such a big number that you almost can't compute it with your head. It's like a quarter million, just on our kind of tiny British island. And about 1 in 4 pregnancies at the moment ends in abortion. So it's a huge, huge thing. And if you think about the number of people, women, but also, men and others who are impacted by abortion on a daily basis, it's a wonder that we don't speak about it more often, given its prominence in everybody's life.
I ahead of this interview thought I'd look up some other stats because there were things like not knowing, for example, when the Abortion Act was passed and when it became decriminalized, and then it got me thinking, well, how many abortions have taken place here that we know of? And these are all government statistics. And I'd read that on the 50-year anniversary of the Abortion Act, 8.8 million abortions had taken place, which at that time was 3 times the size of the population of Wales. It was
Yeah.
many more times than of our war dead. And I think the numbers you talk about are mind blowing. And when you put it down into minutes, I think some of the figures are 1 in every 3 minutes as an abortion taking place in the country. And then there's been another 1.4 million abortions since 2017. It's staggering. What are the typical reasons for it? I suppose some would say, is this being used as a backup for contraception, or is it a typical? Is there a typical class of a woman who's going through this? Are there typical stories that you see?
So it's hard to have data on the exact reasons that women have cited because it's very rare to have that collected. But we do have is we statistical information about where it happens around the country. And a report that just came out, I think it was 2 days ago from Public Health Scotland, showed that it's at least twice as prominent in the most deprived areas of Scotland compared to the least deprived areas of Scotland. So this is actually quite a marker of inequality. If there's a high abortion rate, typically it's going to be women facing poorer circumstances. We also know that 1 in 7 women in the UK say that they approach an abortion facility under pressure. So that might be pressure from a partner, pressure from family members, parents, friends who say there's no way that you could look after a child quickly, have an abortion. We have a culture that is not particularly pro-mother, and a lot of women feel these days a lot younger than they are, in the sense that if we look kind of 50 years ago, it was very common for women to have 2 to 3 children in their 20s, whereas now that would be quite uncommon. And so I think we have a kind of a shock factor when a pregnancy is discovered, and abortion can often, and is often celebrated as an easy way out. What a lot of people don't realize is that it's far from easy. Many women grieve abortions or traumatized by abortions and regret them for the rest of their lives. It's not an easy procedure to have medically or physically, and certainly not emotionally either. And the impact can be severe.